Hi everybody, welcome back to another edition of History in Your Own Backyard. I'm Satoli. Today we're in Bethel, Ohio at the Bethel Historical Society Museum, and with me today is my special guest, Steve Newman. How you doing, Steve?
Perfect.
Good. So Steve's got a story to tell that no one else on the planet can tell. It's his and it's his alone. Steve, you walked around the world.
I did that.
And you were the first one.
First one to do it alone, solo.
Yes.
There were two brothers from Minnesota that set out to walk around the world in the 1970s. One of them was shot and killed, and the other one didn't make it. So I'm not the first person to walk around the world, so to speak, but I am the first to try it alone.
Okay. And when did this all start?
Well, it all started as a boyhood dream. I always wanted to take a long walk around our planet and see the animals and the oceans and the lands up close and meet the people and write about them. Always thought I'd make a great book.
Absolutely. And you started here in Bethel?
Started right here in my hometown of Bethel, and I started from my parents' front porch, and that's where I finished it too, exactly 4 years later.
4 years to the day.
I started on April 1, 1983 and finished on April 1, 1987.
And just curious, for my own personal curiosity, why April 1st? I mean, why not June or January? I mean, was that a good time of year to start?
No, I actually did start it on April 1 on purpose.
Okay.
Because when I shared my wish to walk around the world with others, especially when I was a child, people said I was a fool. And of course, April 1 is All Fool's Day. And that's why I came back on April Fool's Day too, sort of as a jest, you know.
Reminder.
Yeah. And it turns out it wasn't so foolish after all.
And when you left, or before you left, I guess you walked quite a bit before that. I mean, this just wasn't something that popped in your mind. You said, I'm going to give it a shot.
Oh, I loved fishing and hunting and hiking as a young boy, and I did a lot of hiking in where the East Fork State Park is now, here in Claremont County, and I loved being outdoors. I loved being as close as you can get to nature.
Interesting. And what did everybody think about this? I mean, your family and friends, when you first said, I'm going to do this.
Well, my mom hated it. She thought for sure I was going to die. My dad wouldn't say much. I have a feeling he didn't approve of it either. My brothers and sisters all thought it was a cool idea, but they thought that I was going to die. So there weren't many people who supported the idea at all.
Huh. But you knew in your heart you were going to make it.
No. No, I actually thought I would die.
Really?
Yes. Because people forget, but the 1980s was a very, very wild and dangerous era. Unemployment was high across the world. There was a lot of anti-American rioting going on. There were wars all over the world. There was plagues. There was starvation in Africa. People said that there was no way I could make it through all that and live.
Huh. But you did.
But I did. And I think one reason I did was because there were so many people out there that wanted to see me get back home. It really wasn't a solo walk around the world. I really wouldn't have made it home without the help of so many others.
And what year did you leave?
1983.
And came back in 87?
Came back in 87.
Okay.
And it was 4 years of I like to think of pure magic, pure adventure, and pure learning, the best kind of learning there is, hands-on.
Absolutely. So when it came to carrying supplies, I mean, a 4-year trip, you've got to take a lot of equipment, gear, and food. What did you take and how?
Well, there was no manual for how to walk around the world and what to pack, so I had to just wing it, guess. And I remember I took survival gear, I took tent, a backpack. My backpack, by the way, I named Klinger because it's always clinging to my back. He was my companion the whole way. But I had way too much stuff that I packed in my backpack. And I remember I didn't get 5 miles out of Bethel that first day, and I sat by the side of the road, took that heavy pack off, and started to cry because it was hurting my shoulders so much.
Sure.
And I said to myself, how am I ever going to make it around the world if I can't make it out of the county? But I did, and because my mother eventually showed up in her old station wagon and helped me to reduce some of the weight in the backpack, and then gave me a big hug and sent me on my way again. And I think we probably brought that backpack down from 100 pounds to 25 pounds.
You started out with a 100-pound pack?
Believe me, I didn't weigh much more than that. The backpack weighed about as much as I did. It was ridiculous. But I was, again, there's no journal to tell you what to do. So I don't know what to do. But I remember I had probably 2 dozen hard-boiled eggs in the pack. I had hot dogs. I had survival gear, a Rambo knife. I had all kinds of stuff that really turned out to not be necessary.
Right.
And I remember my mom saying to me, "Why do you have so much food? There's a McDonald's every 5 miles anymore."
So before you began the route, you had to work out the logistics of where you wanted to go and how you were going to get there. How long did that take, and how did you do it?
Well, I actually spent 5 years preparing for my walk. A lot of time I spent with my father, too. He helped me to figure out the logistics, so to speak.
Okay.
What I might need to survive across the deserts and the mountains and the outback of Australia, places like that. I also picked my route based a lot on the stories I'd read as a young boy in school. And Africa and the animals, Europe and the museums, the castles of Scotland, places like that. I wanted to include as much from those books I'd read as a boy as I could on my walk.
And going through all those countries, not everybody speaks English. How did you get over that barrier?
I spent a lot of time pretending like I knew what people were saying to me. And I think they did the same too. I think they also were pretending that they knew what I was saying. But somehow we bumbled our way through it.
Yeah.
And I even stayed sometimes with families for days or even a week or two and didn't know what most of the time they were saying. But after a while, you sort of develop a sense of what people are saying, because people around the world act the same when they're talking about politics or their family or history, and so I had a good sense of what they were saying. But and I used my hands a lot too.
Yeah.
Acted out a lot, as they did.
And do you have any idea how many different languages you came in contact with?
Oh my gosh, there's so many main languages, major languages, and so many regional languages.
Yeah.
Probably hundreds.
Really?
In that 4 years, yes. It was not unusual to go 50 miles down the road, so to speak, and hear something totally different. Mm-hmm. It's like if you're in America and you meet somebody from Texas. They're speaking English or American, but it sounds very different in many ways, and that's how it is around the world.
And you only spoke English, right? You didn't have a second language?
Well, no, actually I did. I spoke a lot of Spanish. I was very good at it. I had studied the Russian language for 2 years in college.
Okay.
And as I walked around the world, I always tried to find a book that had their language and English in it, and I would learn a lot of phrases. Mm-hmm. It was rough, it was crude, it was baffling probably to a third person, but it worked.
So obviously, when you were walking around the world, you were in remote areas, you were in cities, How did you operate with your daily living tasks? You know, brushing your teeth, you know, washing, taking showers.
That was oftentimes the biggest challenge on my journey, was washing my clothes, especially. Because where I walked in the very remote areas of the world, there weren't laundry mats. There was no way to do my clothes except by hand, just like many of the local people.
Yeah.
Most of the local people, in fact. In fact, a lot of parts of the world where I went, people were still washing their clothes and their laundry each day on the rocks in the river.
Were they?
Yeah, this is the 1980s. You'd be surprised how primitive a lot of people still were when it came to things like that. So I usually wash my clothes in a stream or a river with a bar of soap and put it on to dry while I'm walking. And it was hard to do that in some parts of the world because I'm so light and people were so dark.
Brown and...
And I would try to take my clothes off and wash them by the well or the river or creek or whatever, or irrigation ditch. And inevitably dozens, if not hundreds of kids would come to watch me. And they were fascinated by how white my skin was and my red hair. And so I would have no privacy. It was very awkward a lot of times.
Well, when it came for food, I'm sure you had all different types of cuisines, but what was the most unusual food that you did eat?
Well, I ate whatever the people were eating.
Okay.
Whatever they ate, I ate. And it could vary from things like fried scorpions or fried cockroaches, like in Thailand,
Yeah.
to curdled goat's milk in India, to live sardines in Italy. I mean, live fish. Yeah,
You
just eat them straight out of the sea, out the fisherman's nets.
You just swallowed them down?
Just swallow them down. And of course, I remember when I first did that, I worried that they would be swimming around in my stomach, but I learned quickly that once they get past your mouth, they don't live but a few seconds.
Huh.
And probably the strangest thing I had to ever eat, so to speak, was in North Africa. They had a concoction in the Sahara Desert there among the Berbers in the tents. Mm-hmm. They had a concoction that was made out of sour goat's milk. I mean, been left in the sun for several days. It was like cottage cheese almost.
Yeah.
And mixed with fresh camel's blood. It was supposed to make you strong, and they even said it would put hair on my chest. And no. It never put a hair on my chest, and the only way to describe it, when I was swallowing it, it was like throwing up in reverse. Oh, it was horrible. But I had no choice. I had to eat whatever the people are eating.
Yeah.
And I didn't ever turn down anything because I was afraid that I might insult somebody or hurt somebody's feelings. So I tried it all. And you'd be surprised how good most of it was, actually.
Was it?
I mean, people have been eating these things and drinking these things for thousands of years, and they knew how to do it right.
Good.
So, for instance, fried scorpions,
Yeah.
to me, they tasted like lamb. Pieces of lamb meat.
So tell me about the fried scorpion. Did you just eat the tail or
No, you eat the whole thing.
the whole thing?
You eat the whole thing. Usually it's on a stick of some sort, and you just pop half of it in your mouth, bite it off, chew it, and then eat the rest.
Huh. Who knew?
Yeah. But I actually found that most things in the world were very good, very tasty, and I picked more than my share of oranges and grapes as I was walking along to places like France.
Sure. So walking that many miles, first off, how many miles did you walk?
Well, after I got back home and looked at my journal book, it turns out that I had walked something like 15,300 miles between the towns and villages and cities of the world. I only kept track of how many miles I walked, between each of the points of the walk.
Sure, sure. And I'm sure you didn't just use one pair of boots or shoes during the trip.
That took me 4 pairs.
Did you?
Four pairs of boots, and they were all made in Ohio. I had Ohio on my feet all the way around the world, and I remember there were times when my boots were really worn out. My toes were sticking out the front, and I had to take a piece of rope or tape to tie it together, my boot. Surprisingly, I only wore out 4 pairs of boots. They were Rocky boots made here in Ohio, in Nelsonville, Ohio. And they were really good. And what I did was, when my boots started to wear out, I would write home to Bethel, to my mom, and would tell her that I need a new pair of boots. She would go out, usually over to Cincinnati, buy a new pair of Rocky boots, and mail them to me. What I told her to do was to put it in a box and mark it, hold for Stephen Newman, and then when I would get to the city that I told her to send them to, like say Venice, Italy, I would go to the main post office and I would ask if they had a package for me. And sure enough, the boots were always waiting for me. Honest, I don't know how Marco Polo did it without his mom.
So you went through 4 pairs of boots, and I'm sure you had to have lost some weight while you were doing that trip. Did your shoe size change any?
No, I think my shoe size stayed the same. Okay. My feet got thinner, though, as did the rest of my body. In fact, if I remember correctly, I lost something like 45, 50 pounds.
Did you really?
While I was out there. And for me, that was catastrophic because I was skinny to begin with.
Yeah.
I mean, when I got back to Bethel, I was all skin and bones.
Huh. So how far did you walk on an average day, or how did you even keep track of the mileage?
Well, average day I would walk around 12 to 20 miles.
That's a good hike.
That sounds like a lot, but it's really not. I would walk like 5 miles in the morning, maybe 6 miles in the afternoon or something, and then wrap it up with maybe 5 miles in the evening. And I kept track of it by the mile markers along the roads. They're all over the world. All over the world, they mark off the kilometers or the miles, and I would keep track of it on my map, and also know too. I knew the distance a lot of times to the next town or village because of the signs, and that would help a lot. So I ended up only averaging around 12 to 20 miles a day.
And you kept a journal also, correct?
Yes, I kept extensive notes. I had a daily log book where I kept track of the miles and where I started and stopped each day. I had a signature book. When I would meet people on my walk around the world, especially in the towns and villages, I would have someone sign my signature book.
Did you really?
Yeah, and a lot of the towns I went through, they would stamp it for me. I mean, if you're going to walk around the world, you might as well get credit for it.
Sure.
And I had diary books. I was writing stories for newspapers and magazines back here in America. I had probably close to 1 million people reading my stories as I walked around the world. And so there was lots of notes, in other words.
So what was the hardest part of your walk? Was it physically, emotionally, mentally? What was it?
I think the hardest part of my walk was mentally, emotionally too. I mean, I missed home. I missed my friends. Oftentimes I had to battle with a sort of loneliness or homesickness, I guess you would call it. I missed the the greenery and the streams and the hills of southern Ohio. But at the same time, one of my biggest problems was privacy, having privacy. Because I was so exposed to the world, there were people always coming up to me and asking me where I was going.
So they were just curious. They saw you with the backpack.
Yeah, and I look so different from a lot of the world. 6'2", white skin, the blondish hair, and everybody else around me usually darker, much darker. And they could tell I was from somewhere very far away. And they were curious why I was by myself and venturing through their part of the world. And so I had tons of children following me. I can't tell you how many times I had to answer the same question, but as I was walking down the road, kids would ask me the same question 100 times.
Sure.
And so I had, loneliness in some places, like particularly in the deserts, homesickness, and a lack of privacy in other places.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
But the reason I didn't give up, I dealt with it. The reason I didn't give up was because I was always afraid that down the road, just ahead, was something very, very interesting or magical or beautiful that I might miss if I give up.
Right.
So I always kept going to see what's just ahead, what's over the next hill, or around the next curve.
You were on the road for 4 years. That's a long time to be by yourself. How did this impact your life?
Oh my goodness. It made me more patient. You have to have a lot of patience to walk around the world, believe me, because it's going to take years. It made me more understanding, more compassionate. I saw more closely why people think and act the way they do in certain parts of the world. It made me, I think, more interesting because I learned so much and saw so much and experienced so much that I have more to share now with the world, which I got to do, fortunately, through books later on. And it made me, I think, a little more courageous because I saw that a lot of the dangers, quote unquote, that permeate throughout the world are greatly exaggerated.
Are they?
So to speak, yes. It made me a more confident person. I did something that so many people said was impossible,
right,
that couldn't be done. It made me just a lot more understanding, and it made me a lot more hopeful too, because I saw that there's a lot more love and kindness than there is meanness and evil out there in the world. Most people are good people. I would say 90% of the people are good people, would never hurt you. And I found that one of the biggest traits of the world, the people, was a willingness and a desire to help. So many people, when they realized that this is my boyhood dream, and they wanted me to succeed, they wanted me to make it home.
Yeah.
And how can I forget all the mothers of the world? They were cooking for me and doing my laundry and encouraging me and just showing me such warmth. And they all knew that somewhere I had a mom that was worrying about me, and they wanted to make sure that I got home to her. So I really did change a lot from walking around the world. It was a good idea. It wasn't the foolish nightmare that so many people had warned about.
Good. After all these years, how many years has it been now since you got back?
Oh my goodness gracious.
Asking all the hard questions.
A lifetime. The years go by so quickly.
They do.
It's been at least 40 years since I came back home.
And what memories do you carry with you to this day?
Oh, so many memories. So many memories. Most of the memories I have are good memories, positive memories. People coming up to me and asking me if I am hungry or if I'd like a drink of water, asking me to stay with their family. My fondest memories are of the families I stayed with. Again, I was a stranger to all these people.
Right.
None of them knew I was Stephen Newman or I was from Bethel, Ohio. And yet they trusted me so much. And some of them I stayed with, as I said before, for weeks, even months. Like, for instance, in Australia, I ran a newspaper for 2 months.
Did you really?
Yeah, so that the owner and the publisher and the main editor could go on vacation. And I mean, can you imagine a Yank running a newspaper and bossing people around? This Yank. But that's of course one of my fondest memories, is running that newspaper in Warrnambool, Australia, out in the outback there. But also too, some of my fondest memories are the scenery. I can remember walking along the coast of North Africa, and the monkeys and the cliffs and the surf and the forest. I remember the snows of the mountains in Pakistan. I can remember the people coming to see me by the thousands in some places in India. I mean, so many people that I was afraid I was going to die. I was going to be crushed.
No kidding.
Yes. I can remember the police coming through the crowds in India and beating back the people with long cane poles because they feared that somebody might get crushed. I can remember the sandstorms in the skies, especially the night sky in the outback of Australia. I mean, it looked like I could just reach right up and pluck the stars out of the heavens there. I can remember the beauty of walking across the western United States, the mountains and the rivers and the prairies. I especially remember coming home on April 1, 1987, back to Bethel, and looking down North Charity Street where I had lived and been raised as a boy, and thinking, you know, this is my final road, my final stretch. But I especially remember stepping back up onto that porch that morning and hugging my mom. And both of us for minutes just holding each other and crying, you know, because, sorry?
You're good.
Because we really didn't think we were going to see each other again. And there we were, 4 years.
You're good. This trip changed your life. If you wouldn't have gone on the trip, you would be a totally different person, correct?
Oh, that's definite. This trip changed me in so many ways. In fact, it opened up new worlds to me, so to speak. Because I walked around the world, I had so many invitations to share it in speeches and lectures. I got to write books. I got to travel around the world many more times.
Did you?
Yes, to speak and lecture and to book tours, and I just had a much richer life because of it. I've gotten to experience so much that I wouldn't have experienced otherwise. Not only during the walk, but since the walk. I've gotten to know thousands and thousands and thousands of people who have added something to my life, who have made me a better person.
And you're probably one of the most fortunate people on the planet for doing that.
I like to think so. I think that it was a good dream to have. It was a good thing to live through. And I mean, I could have just as easily died. One little mishap and everybody would be saying I was a fool, not a hero. And the difference between life and death, or being a hero and a fool, is very, very, very thin. Yeah, but I made it. And you know, sometimes, to give you an idea, sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night because I was dreaming about walking across a place like India, and I'll suddenly sit up in bed in the dark there, and I'll say to myself, that couldn't have happened. That really didn't happen, did it? You know, I still can't believe I did it. I can't believe that was me walking across India and all these other places. And it added, I guess the best way to put it, it added a lot of magic, real magic to my life.
Absolutely. Since completing your walk, what other walks have you gone on?
Well, I've been very fortunate. I've gotten to walk the length of Japan, Korea, Taiwan. I've walked hundreds of miles on the Great Wall of China, especially in very remote areas of China where the tourists never go.
Okay.
I've gotten to go to South America and hike ancient Incan and Mayan trails, hundreds of miles of them, through the jungles there and in the Andes Mountains. I've walked across Ohio 2 times to promote the creation of new trails for both bicycling and walking. So I've done a lot of adventures, let's put it that way, since walking around the world. So walking around the world wasn't my last great adventure.
For my own personal interest, have you had any knee problems or foot problems from all those millions of miles that you've put down? I mean, you walk more than anybody else probably, for the most part.
That might be true. I know I've taken tens of millions of steps during my lifetime. I've not had much in the way of physical problems.
Okay.
As a result of all that walking. So my knees are still good, my back's still good, so I count myself lucky.
Good deal. Are there any other takeaways that you'd like to talk about from your trip?
Well, yes. If you don't mind, I'd like to read a passage from my book.
Absolutely.
And I think it summarizes beautifully what I learned from the walk around the world.
Okay.
I wrote in my book that when I left my home all those years ago, there were those who warned that only a nightmare could come from such foolishness as walking around the world. To be so trusting of so many people was asking to lose everything, especially my life, they warned. Still, I ventured forth. I had to know the truth. And what is the truth that I found on my walk? It is that love still lives as strongly as ever, maybe even stronger than ever. It is that I am your son and your brother, and you are more than just my neighbors. You are my family. It is that goodness reigns over evil, that for all the ugliness and hurt we see each day, there are 1,000,000 times more acts of compassion and beauty going unnoticed. It is that I am lonely without you beside me, sharing in both the sadness and the joy of this magic force we call life. For you are my friends too. Finally, it is that home sweet home was where I belonged all along.
If anyone would like to learn more about Steve's walk, you can visit the Bethel Museum. There's plenty of information here, including books and pictures and maps. And Steve, I'd like to thank you. It has been a pleasure and an honor to meet you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.